excuse me. Again, my voice is a little bit weak from last week. How much should I depend on AI? And that goes back to the keynote last week, as well as a lot of this other stuff in the channel. I will put another video in there that discusses that. Technology should not be the way that you reach everyone. It just shouldn't be, particularly when it comes to technology you don't own. I have an email newsletter. Some of y'all get it. Hopefully you got it this morning. It comes out every Wednesday at 5:55 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, again, Vegas time. I own that newsletter. That's mine. That's as close as you can get to ownership when it comes to technology, right? So of course there's servers and stuff, but it's my email newsletter. If I depended on AI or other types of products, platforms that were not under my control, then if they happen to go out, then I'm in trouble. This might sound familiar, and I'm keeping it broad on purpose because the discussion that we have with AI right now is similar to the discussions we were just having about social media back when I first started the show 2.5 years ago. In fact, I did a video about it, which I think y'all appreciate. It's Make Profit Without Social Media. It's another live show. Live show, I think, was, I might have did this late last year, something like that, very top of this year. But the social media discussion has been a regular thing on this show. And again, if you know my work, I'm familiar with it, or you're familiar with this argument. When you lean on social media, when you lean on AI, when you lean on an outside technology that you do not own, you're depending on that technology to have you connect with your customers. So I have my TED Talks. I just spoke at ASJ and other platforms. So I have my keynotes where I connect with people. Excuse me. I'll go and have my business meetings, virtual or otherwise, a lot more virtual now, especially since I have some clients that are overseas or people that I want to connect with that are overseas. So there's that. I have my email newsletter, and this right here, as far as the show, is as close as I can get to having my own network, aside from me, going to try to buy BET with Robert Johnson or something. Like, this is my network. If I was dependent on a social media platform, or say I was dependent on, say, ChatGPT, which we'll get into in a second, if I was dependent on ChatGPT to write my keynotes, and I didn't know how to put pen to paper or, onto keyboard or whatever, then what happens when ChatGPT goes in this direction? What happens when Facebook goes in that direction? What happens when Twitter doesn't want to rock with you anymore? These are real scenarios that have happened just over the past year, if you've been paying attention, particularly if you're a content creator. What I would implore and encourage you to do, in fact, I would, whatever the next level is beyond imploring, if you're going to have a sustainable career, I've been doing this for at least a couple of decades. So if you want to have a sustainable career and you want to have your career, 2023? So you're going to see me, knock on wood, I'm still alive and kicking, and you're going to see this show in 2043. What is your business going to look like? Are you creating a business that's going to be level, if not thriving, if that current technology that you're depending on suddenly goes poof? Where's Friendster at? Snapchat is going down because a lot of the Snapchat generation, shout out to y'all are getting into my age group now. You start to have your little kids, you start to get married, you start to buy your houses, you start to do whatever equivalent of adulting is. You're not in the college campus anymore. If you are, you're probably a professor or a grad student. So if you're dependent on just Snapchat to reach that audience, and suddenly you're in trouble. I'm not even going to share the stats. Just Google it. Speaking of technology, Google it. See what's been happening with Snapchat over the past 5 years. They're trying to figure it out. TikTok is already starting to see a crisis with this. So if you're only dependent on like one platform or one thing, again, AI, to get your work done and or more importantly, to connect with your community that you're trying to serve, then you're going to be in trouble in the upcoming years. Again, I've always been a tech guy as much as a communication guy. So I've seen the waves. That's a shout out to Jennifer. We were talking about that. During the happy hour after my keynote last week. her and I are around the same age. We've been in tech for a while, as well as communication. And you start to see the waves, and it's like, oh, well, this joint is just like that joint. Oh, well, that was supposed to be around forever. But technology is never around forever. And I'm working now. You see me on YouTube. You see me on LinkedIn. You see me on other platforms, maybe even on Twitter, depending on how you're connecting with me. These platforms might not exist in 20 years, but sure enough, I have my content and I'm building a connection with you, which will ideally go beyond the technology. There's technologies I used to rock with when you might have first heard of me 15, 20 years ago, and I'm not on them anymore, either because I'm not rocking with them anymore or because they don't exist. So how much should you depend on AI? Use it as a partner, but don't marry it. Right? We'll leave it at that. A really good book to kind of give context to this, and I think this book came out like 10 years ago. I know I read it several years ago. It is You Are Not a Gadget by Jaron Lanier. I can never pronounce his name. Shout out to Mr. Lanier. I think it might be Dr. Lanier, because I believe he has his PhD. So shout out to Dr. Lanier. Fantastic book. He is a tech person who also, I want to say he was connected with the Amish communities. One of the communities that might be the Mennonites. I might be screwing this all up. I haven't read the book in a while, but it came to mind when I was doing the show. Please check out the book because, again, he has that tension between human connection and technology connection. He's also a tech futurist. So again, that fight, he knows that fight, and he's way more articulate than I am about that fight. Please check out the book. This was before OpenAI, who founded ChatGPT, and all these other things before they even existed. It's still the same argument. That's my point. And this will give you really good insight as far as boundaries. And feel free to go ahead and hop in the comments